The footage used in this video is from Sprial from the Book of Saw. The footage is owned by Lionsgate and only Lionsgate. Please enjoy and go watch Sprial from the Book of Saw in theaters now. This video also contains spoilers. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, or whatever you're watching this, but welcome back. If you noticed on my last video, yes, I am reviewing this movie called Sprial from the Book of Saw by the director Darren Bousman and starring Chris Rock, Max Minghella, Marisol Nichols, and Samuel Jackson. What I'm going to do is I'm going to 1, go through the story, 2, go through the characters, 3, go through the traps, and 4, go to the ending. And by the end of this video, I will have my full review and tell you by the end of this video what I think about this movie. So let's start out with the plot, alright? So the plot is, working in the shadow of his father, Detective Ezekiel Banks and his rookie partner take charge of an investigation into murders that are reminiscent of the city's gruesome past. Unwittingly entrapped in a deepening mystery, Zeke finds himself at the center of the killer's morbid game. More so that the killer is coming off as John Kramer. That guy. That guy. And that guy. And also her. Going into this movie, I was like, okay, another Saw movie. Another Saw movie that has Chris Rock, has Samuel Jackson, has the mother from Riverdale. And apparently the guy, Max Minghella, was in Handmaid's Tale. I don't know where that came from. But I was sitting here like, oh, this is a good cast. We are so in good hands. So going into the first scene, I honestly was thinking, wow, this look expensive. Y'all got money. Y'all got money. Apparently the budget of this movie, $20 million. While the first original movie was actually $1.2 million. So that was a big budget difference. And also, the look of it was also new, but it actually had a familiar feel. I'll get to that in a second. But for the aspect ratio, I noticed that it was different, with Saw being this aspect ratio that looks like a full screen and has like, it had a feel of like it was being immersive, I guess. But with Jigsaw and Sprial, they had this, which is more cinematic and also more wider, so you can see more angles, more. It's like more. It's more. That's all I'm gonna say. It's more. The scope of it all, it was just so much bigger. It was like you were going to one location, which we barely even done in the other Saw movies, because all the stuff was taking place in like one location, and a lot of it was actually in present day for one, and only one flashback. No, three. The movie definitely is so super spaced out. Like, you go to one location that has a meaning, the other location that has to deal with, you know, someone's past, or someone that they previously worked with, or something like that. So that's one thing I like. So this new direction, what people are talking about, is basically the direction of the killer, which is very cool, if I do say so myself, because most killers have a motive. Oh, they want to kill people, or they want to teach a lesson like John Kramer. But this new killer is like, hey, the system is kind of I gotta do something. So I, grab that cop there who shot a kid, or who lied on the stand, or a police captain that allowed corruption in the precinct. All these little things I really love. The bad part about this movie is obvious clues. Let's start with the obvious, where the character William says this.
Your dad's the reason for all of this. He's why I want to do this in the first place.
Really? Child. And also William said this.
Kidding me? I've been dreaming about this since I was 12 years old.
Really? Come on. Since I've been waiting for 12 years old?
That's suspicious. That's weird.
Okay, I see how that does not give away a lot, but come on, that was like... It's like, boom, here's a killer. It was just so... I can make one example that the new kid and or the boyfriend was the killer. Scream. The series. It was the new kid. No, it was 2 times. It was both times. Where the reporter, she was new to the scene, and the boyfriend, who is also the killer. So I'm sitting here like, come on, y'all. And not to mention his dialogue was making it obvious. So I'm just sitting here like, I don't trust you. And now for the characters, the shitty characters. First we got Detective Marv Boswick, who was first on the scene with the train trap. At first I was like, oh, he's just a cop. He's just a cop. Honestly, we didn't know his crime. Like every other Saw franchise, we don't know everyone's crime. We just know that they did something wrong in the past to end up there. So I honestly felt bad until his tape. At the end of the day, I was like, oh yeah, maybe you should have just like done something smarter with your trap, with your game. But by the time we get to his wife, I was feeling so sorry for her because she had kids, she had him, because knowing stuff that I know, having a police officer for a spouse is never easy, so I get it. But at the end of the day, I actually just felt for his wife, not for him, because honestly, you lied, you're dead. Have fun with no tongue. Detective Zeke Banks, played by Chris Rock. He's genuinely a good guy, but he has like some rogue tendencies. Like in the beginning with the robbery scene, which was a funny scene because honestly I do love that he was a reason why he was a reason why he said what he said, because honestly some of the franchise did need a little bit of jokes because it was so serious and so dark, and I'm sitting here like, oh yeah, it did need some comedy here and there. Now for the person that I kind of like, and it was also my favorite character, but also he's a Spiral killer, which is, I think it's a new dub for the Jigsaw killer for him. Detective William Shank, which also wasn't his name. So, but like Zeke, he is a good character, but he has a twisted methodology that I honestly did say in a previous thing. He wants to broaden and categorize John's method into like a system. So in his method, he really wants to go after the police system, or hopefully in the next movie, the judicial system. Next we have Captain Angie Garza, who is played by the one, the only Marisol Nichols. And I love her. I loved her. I love and hated her in Riverdale, because I was like, I love you, but I hate you. Like, you are a bad mother. But she's a great person in real life. But in this one, I didn't really get to really know her besides her backstory. It was revealed that she also allowed corruption while she was captain. She felt generic, I will say. She really doesn't do much. She really doesn't. She just sits there, tells people what to do. She doesn't really help with the plot. She just, not breathtaking, but you hold your breath for her trap, and I'm sitting here like, boy, this is not good. Detective Fitch. I just have one word for this character. No, I have a few words. You're an asshole. You're a big, floppy, dusty, scarred asshole. But his backstory with Zeke was just made me hate him more because I'm sitting here like, and by the time we figure out what he did to Zeke, I was like, yeah, you definitely deserve to get in a trap because he let Zeke get shot, and Zeke was calling for help on a radio, and Fitch just said fuck him, and I was just like, are you serious? Marcus Banks, or Chief Marcus Banks, he has a strained relationship with his son Zeke. With Marcus, he doesn't really get a lot of screen time, but you know that something is super big that you leave him for the ending. Apparently he was a corrupt cop. And a very big corrupt cop, might I add, because he and Angie were agreed to say, you know what? Let Zeke be on his own. Let's make him do what he wants, but let's keep an eye on him. But also, let's not care about the whole corruption. The product of said corruption were all the victims, including Marcus himself. And with that, it is game over for Marcus. And now for the traps. There were 5 traps in total, and I'm going to break these down. The train trap. That was Detective Marv Boswick, that he says in the tape. His crime is this. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about his trap. He has to tear off his tongue before the train hits him. That was in itself more incentive to literally book it. The beginning was it felt tense, but not too tense, where I'm just like clutching my pearls, like, oh my god. But it was like, okay, what's happening? What's happening? I don't know what's happening. It was a good setup. It felt like a regular Saw movie, I think. Personally, it felt like Saw 6, where William Easton was captured in his office and basically doing what he was supposed to do, just like Boz. He's doing his cop thing, has his gun. The way he approaches people isn't really great. Disgusting. It's all around disgusting. It's like his tongue was bleeding so much. It was like, oh my god, just cut it. Because I did some research. I actually did some research on, like, can you survive without a tongue if it get ripped out? You can't. He will choke on his blood because he has no way out. And honestly, I feel like he would have gotten hit by the train anyway. It was very Saw-like. I will say this. I will say that the sped up editing, even though it wasn't green, but it was like a blue tint. Practical effects was just awesome. I saw there were no signs of CGI, and if there was an inkling of CGI, it was definitely prosthetic and practical blood splatter. When he got hit, I was like, oh my god, I've never seen so much body parts, come at the screen or go at it was so gross and disgusting, and it was so fun to watch. Like I said, this one was kind of easy. He had actually barbed wire on his arm that was still on one of his arms, actually. And he kind of just like his tongue. Not his whole tongue wasn't really, like trapped or anything. It was just like this nuts. And all he had to do is take the barbed wire and cut it. Would it be painful? Hell yes, but at least you got 2 minutes. So, and also your adrenaline is rushing, so your ass is like, nah, to your mouth. So I'm just sitting here like, use the barbed wire. That's all you had to do. You didn't really have to jump off the stool. Because after the fact, you see the tongue. You actually do see the tongue. And you're just like, oh yeah, you would make it. Like that, like you wouldn't make it far. Like you would still die of massive blood loss if you wouldn't gone to the hospital. Even his corpse, it was just like a hollow hole in there. And I'm like, gross. The finger trap, which was actually the very first trap that we get to see the entire time with Sprial. And what I noticed the first time seeing it from that trailer, I saw water. And I'm like, what's happening? Why is there water? What is that on his fingers? And why you have a head contraption? Who's in the trap, by the way? Detective asshole Finch. My bad. He has to tear his fingers before he gets electrocuted. So he has to bite down on his head contraption where his mouth is. He has to bite down and let the thing rip his fingers off. Let me just tell you that one was just so... Woo! Like, my fingers were twitching, and I'm like, oh my god. Like, like, my hands were doing this the entire time, and I was like, oh my god! It was just so fun to watch, but it was so gross. The trap was actually very unfair, because when he was in the trap, when the scene actually starts, the water was already running. But when he wakes up, the trap actually, he moves his mouth to a point where the trap closes and the motor starts. But when he wakes up, the motor stops and he has no idea what's happening. So he sees these things, he's freaking out. And, it's just like a whole bunch of... Like, again, I love the speed editing. It's just like, it brings back so much memories. But, again, this trap was super unfair. He could have gotten out scot-free. The wax trap. First thing I'm going to say is, Angie, where's your fucking phone? Like, you had it. Few seconds, and you're like, I'm going to put my phone down. Honey, you're the captain of the police. Keep your phone on. Somebody might need you. So she had to, sever her spinal cord, as you could have seen in the clip. She has to sever her spinal cord in order to stop the wax from coming onto her face. That was kind of easy because the pipe was so little, so you would have some burns up here, but you would still live though. Like, yeah, there'll be like wax building up over here, but you're constrained here. Your neck is not tied down, so you can just easily do this, do that, and be fine. Yeah, were you at a diagonal? Yeah, sure, but you can still do this. So the glass throwing trap. Whew. I'm just gonna say that was a terrible beginning. I don't know why you had that in a movie. I guess you wanted to pay homage with the first Saw movie. The trap itself, the person that was actually in the trap was Pete, the guy who shot the innocent guy. So Pete has to depend on Zeke to either forgive him or let him die by throwing glass, which was super, super, super bizarre to watch. Because honestly, you're just sitting here like, how are you even gonna escape this when shards of glass is going inside your back? Because he turned his back. And I think that was actually a smart move. It's super simple. All these traps are super simple. Peter had to depend on Zeke to get him out of the trap. And honestly, Zeke did also did the right thing. But the whole trap just looked so painful. And the last trap was, you guessed it, Samuel Jackson's The Puppet Trap, or most commonly known as the Marionette Trap. This was also a duel game like the previous trap. Marcus has to depend on his son Zeke to make a decision. Either kill his father or hit the target and set him free. So Marcus has 3 minutes because not only he's strapped up to this marionette trap, his blood's being drained, and his blood has been drained ever since he got captured. Zeke shoots the target because he wants to let his father live. But what he doesn't know is that William rigged the trap the entire time. If he would have went with William, William would have definitely just saved Marcus, and everyone would have been happy. Marcus would have been in jail. Zeke would have been technically working with a criminal as a cop. So the ending, which is where we are now, the ending was okay. I will say the trap could have been more. I was actually expecting Marcus to be torn apart, or this is my imagination. I thought he was gonna get, stretched, not limb from limb, but joint by joint, which I honestly would rather love, because I think it would be fun. It would be fun to look at. Some of the execution was a little sloppy. Again, with the whole your dad's the reason for this, and the motive for the killer definitely makes sense. I will give him that. But all in all, I give the direction a 9. I give the cast an 8. Camera work definitely an 8. But all in all, I think I give this movie a solid C. And also, a new feature I'm going to put on is the red light, green light, yellow light. Which means that if it's a red light, don't go watch it. If it's a yellow light, watch on your own risk. If it's a green light, definitely get going to the theaters or download it or watch it whenever you can. But definitely this movie is getting a yellow light. You can see it right there. I need to set up more lights around me, and I think I'm probably just gonna do it do my reviews during the night. But what can I say? This is my first one back, and I hope I do it again. I am doing it again with In the Heights next week, and I hope I see you guys in the theaters also again. And have a great day. Go watch Sprial at your own risk, and I'll see you next time. Bye.